He says, and they let us know that they're testing, and they let us know the outcomes of these tests, and they keep us aware of what is going on with our water. So I think, from a citizen's point of view who drinks the water in Tomah, I think we're doing a good job there, and I look forward to continue.
My household actually drinks not from our tap. It's just, I don't know, something about the taste of it. I'm sure the quality is great. I'm sure everything in that aspect is great. I know compared to Sparta, they have fluoride, I believe, in their water or some sort, which is good for the children, which is good for the teeth and the enamel on the teeth. I think that might be something that we look towards. I'm sure that's pricey, and I'm not trying to say that we need to go right into that. But as the other panel said, I mean, doing our education, doing our homework on this. We have Kirk, who is a great public works director, so I'm 99.9% sure that we have everything rolling the way that we should already. So like Pete said, no need for change. But I would say exploring other options to learn from places, not just the adverse like Flint, Michigan, but learn from other places that are same size as us and maybe have same surroundings as us. And I think learning from them and taking a little bit of due diligence and doing our homework on the subject would help us all, and transparency as well, which is what I think killed Flint, Michigan. That's killed.
Thank you, Remy. Those conclude the questions that I was given, so all the remaining questions are from those in attendance here. And Nellie, you're going to be the first with this question. What do you see as our biggest issue with Tomah?
Right now, I would say communication. We have, going door to door, people are concerned about a lot of things, and they feel that the city is not providing enough information to our citizens. So communication is the best way between the city, the business people, and the residents. We need to focus on everyone and make sure that we're giving them whatever it is that they have concerns about. I can't stress that enough, because we have to work together to make sure that this city runs well and that we provide the best quality that we can for everyone in our city.
Now we're going over to Dean.
Gotcha.
Nellie said it exactly right. We are not communicating to our citizens, and we're not being all informed. And somewhere along the line, I think the mayor's office became a closed door place. I don't know if it's what happened, but I can remember when I first moved to town, Mrs. Pollard was the mayor, and you could always stop in and visit her, or, you know, you could voice your concerns. There was always someone to go to, and I don't feel that the citizens feel that they've had that opportunity in these last few years. And I think we need to get back to having the mayor available to correspond with the citizens and keep everyone informed.
I agree 100% with the last. When I was younger and living here, I had the privilege of living here during Ed Thompson's, I don't want to say reign, but Ed Thompson administration. Very much an open door, very much a take your opinion, walk it directly across the street, and implement it into city planning, into city council, into just everyday talk. I hate to say it, but our current issue, to answer the question, our current biggest issue is exactly what we are all up here for, this office, and the last couple months. We all know it, it's the elephant in the room. Change has got to happen, change needs to be there, and change has to be done conservatively and respectfully with everybody included in the opinion. And I think the biggest problem right now is that's not what our citizens feel. And it's a shame, because we have a beautiful community. We all know it, you guys all have businesses. We're running for the office to make this place what it can be. So, that would be it.
Well, consensus of the four of us here is that communication is the issue, and I have some ideas how we can improve on that. First of all, when you see on TV or wherever in meetings and things, we need to stress the positives of this city. The city has so many positive things going for it that you just take for granted. It's a great place to live. you got a professional administrator, you got great department heads, you got an active chamber of commerce, our schools are great, we got the tractor pull, and we have the fair. We just need to stress those positives and communicate that in the newspaper and the Greg Hagan, or whatever. The weekly updates for the mayor, I think that's a good idea. I'd like to see that where the administrator would be under sometimes, and the department heads would be under sometimes, so they can talk about themselves and stress what they've been doing. There is a great value in just putting the word out in the public in a verbal format, besides including the paper and the radio. So we just got to focus on the positives more.
Thank you, Pete. Dee, you have the honors, and then we'll go to Remy and come back this way. This is from someone in attendance today. You each have commented you believe the school district is important. As mayor, what do you believe you can do to address the lack of funding the district is experiencing?
I don't know. I have a lot to learn. I understand that. These people have a lot more education in politics than I do. And I can't intelligently answer that question. I'm sorry.
Out of all the campaign things I've heard all year, that was probably the most honest thing I've heard. So out of all the national politics, I will take that over somebody that I respect that. What I would do, I think our referendum is direct reflection of down enrollment, which is a direct reflection of stagnant growth in Tomah. So as far as what I would do directly as mayor, try to spearhead some more ideas to get our community involved, to make the outside people that work here already not only spend their money here, but live here and grow here and work here. And like Pete said, when they're graduated and their kids are graduated, come back and lead us into the next generation, which is what I hope to be doing here. Being a guy who's born and raised here and coming back after college and wanting to make this place a place that I know it can be, I think community development would be essential. Obviously our school district is great, our administrators are great, but we need to give people a reason to live here. Focus on the positive, like Pete said.
Pete?
Well, first thing is, whether you like it or not with your taxes, you're gonna have to vote yes on the referendum. That's a must-do item in my opinion. Believe me, I hate to see increased taxes. You know, I've been on the county board for over 10 years, and setting the budget and the increase in the levy, you know, that doesn't make anybody very popular. But the source of this whole problem, to me, is at a much higher level than the city level. It's a federal and state government, they cut funds, they mandate responsibilities, and they pass the mandated cost on to the next level, and keeps getting passed down and down and down. Pretty soon it ends up at the city level. And, you know, we all gotta pay taxes. I'm not for raising them, but I'm for being judicial about how we do use our taxes, and do the best we can to make up for higher levels of government apparatus.
Thank you. Nellie?
Well, as far as referendum, I think that would be a positive thing. However, that I would like to see, if the referendum doesn't pass, I would like to see the cuts from the top and not from the bottom. Because we need our teachers. Our teachers educate our children. And that is very important to the kids, that when they venture out, they have the best education out there. And with that in mind, I would like to see them, once they venture out, come back and educate our younger children that are here. So I do hope that the referendum passes, but in the same hand, if it doesn't, I'd like to see the cuts from the top and not from the bottom.
Thank you. Remy, we're going to start with you, and then we'll come up to Pete and go this way down to Dee. Again, a question from those in attendance. What would you do as mayor to promote Monroe County, work with the county for regional prosperity, and if you have any specific goals, I'd just like to hear your thoughts. And again, Remy starts.
I think it goes back to community development. Us being the biggest city in Tomah, or in the county, a county that has a vast region. I think us as the big sister, again, big brother, I think we play a vital role in here, not only in our school district, not only with the tractor pull and the county fair, but I think if we, to be specific, I think if we had a festival of ourselves, just like everybody else has a corn fest or a cran fest or butterfest, or I think if we implemented more community involvement, we'd get more expos, we'd get more job fairs, I personally think an expo center would be great. Even nothing more than a glorified pull shed where I've seen it other places. The bigger places like the Kenworth and the Toro and places that want to hold bigger things, I think making Tomah more of a hub for development, I think would resonate to the rest of the county.
That's a great question. I really like this question. Probably the best of any question I've heard today, but Monroe County is working towards this immensely. We have the Monroe County Economic Development Committee. They have a conference now. They've had it five or 6 years in a row. It's growing in leaps and bounds. At the last conference about 3 weeks ago, there was 300 plus people at that. 16 people from different counties are copying us. That is a great conference. It spreads the word. It's good for business people. It's good for residents. It's good for everybody. We also, the person that is working and heading that up is Steve Peterson. His office is in City Hall. We got the person right at our disposal. The county also has items such as dairy days. We have, not only is Tomah a good place, Monroe County is a good place. And we're somewhat limited in economics compared to some of the big counties, but the fact of the matter is we're making it through and we're doing a good job at it. So that Economic Development Committee is just a great committee and it's a positive influence for the town.
Well, I agree with Pete on that. I think that we all need to get together outside our city and take a look at all the other cities surrounding us. I can tell you that one of the best and the most employer in our area within 50 miles is Fort McCoy. They employ 7,000 people out there. So we have what we need to work together to make good for our city and with other cities and brainstorm about what we can do as, to make our business people, our residents, and our community grow.
Thank you, Nellie.
Brainstorming's a great word, Nellie. I think that's what we need as a community as a whole. We need this community development, whether it be a community festival that brings us together or like a civic center, and I don't mean building a civic center, but having all that we all agree again on our development bringing the community together and growing from there.
Go ahead, Randy. Oh, wait, that was the last one.
I'll go again.
Yeah. What do they have, 60 seconds with each answer, is that what it is? Because this one here might not take 60 seconds, could take longer. Pete, we're going to start with you. If elected to the position of Tomah's part-time mayor, how much time are you planning to donate to the job?
I don't want to come off as being flip about this answer, but more time than the previous mayor. I would set up some type of office hours where I'd like to go down there at least 3 or 4 times a week during the daytime and have the open door policy that we was talking about, where if people want to talk to me, they can talk to me. The other thing I would do is publicize my phone number and my cell phone number. People have a question, I urge them to call me. So I'm all about open communication. And the short answer to that question is I will spend as much time in the mayor's office if the door is open as it takes to do the job.
I would say, most of you know that I do have a full-time position. However, my job is very flexible. And I can pretty much be available whenever I'm needed. I am on a flex schedule. I have a lot of time off. I have a lot of vacation time. I'm always off. Basically, I think I'm more than I am working. But there are emails, there's phone calls, I will be available when needed. Questions, I'll make sure I get them answered. So, yes, I feel confident that my position will not interfere with the mayor's position.
I would spend as much time as possible. As we all know, I got a full-time job at Toro. I'm only 55 years old, so I can't retire tomorrow like I maybe would like to or something. But in this electronic age, we've always got our cell phones, we have email, I have a desk job, so I do have a phone. Toro encourages civic responsibilities, and they let you, I mean, if there is something I would need to be off work, I would be off work, because they support community efforts and all that goes with it. And if I have to keep some evening hours so that the people that are not available during the day like me, that need to talk to the mayor, I'm willing to be there in the evening as well.
Roger, you're gonna get sick of seeing me if I win this election. To be honest, I would start, and I don't mean this because I'm sitting in front of you guys or in an election, I think the mayor should start every single day, other than their other jobs, in that office, with an open door, with everything rolling. Fresh pot of coffee, encouraging people to come in. I think, again, I hate to go back to the Ed Thompson name drop, but I think that was it's a very good example as to how the mayor should, in my opinion, should be. Whatever you feel about his politics, he always had an open door. He always had the ability to listen and take that community opinion and interject it. But I feel I would, and me and my girlfriend were just talking about this the other night, I would start every day in that office. Roger, Joanne, all the ladies, you're gonna get sick of seeing me, but I'll be there. So every day, each and every day, start right there.
Thank you, Remy. Another question from those in attendance. How would you ensure that the tax incremental district benefits all citizens in Tomah and not only the business owners? Nellie, we're going to start with you and go towards Steve.
Well, I mean, we have to bring some revenue out of that tax district. And that goes with having employment there. There has to be where we're putting things in the TIF district to create jobs. And when we create jobs, we bring in the revenue. So I would have to say that we have to find a big corporation someplace. Our land is limited on what we can put there, but we would look at trying to get a bigger business in there so that they can create jobs and we can get some kind of revenue out of the TIF district.
Steve?
Yes, we do need to, we have to pay into it to get what we need out of it. And by bringing more businesses in to the downtown, I'd like to see our downtown area prosper through all the tax increments and the availability to bring people from the north end of town through town like they used to go through and shop at the cash store and the little shops that we've had. And just, I have to agree with Nellie. I hate to keep saying that, but I do agree with Nellie.
Remy?
Again, I think it's a genius. Not only the mechanism, but the TIF in itself, I think it's genius. But I think what we're all losing in this is it benefits the residents as well, the residential. So from what I understand, you can, same way a business can apply to renovate their house, or their business, I believe, under a block grant, they can also renovate their house. My cement basement right now is old, built in the 1800s. I don't have money to put into it. Under the community redevelopment, after we get new business in there, there'll be money for houses in that area to also prosper. So to answer the question, how does it benefit residents? I think it directly benefits residents, not just in the downtown area, but also in block grants, in just overall aesthetically pleasing of the whole area. I think that'll go leaps and bounds. We'll have big business knocking at our door. I think we need to be careful not to go too big with the business. We do have some big business already. I think conservative growth and a lot more, I don't want to say minimum wage or no collar jobs, but more of lower industry, I think would.
We're gonna call time.
Sorry. Thank you.
Pete?
Well, I would think one thing the city might explore, and at least look into, is setting up some location for, put an incubator business in there. Let the incubator business get going, get started, let them, so then they can move out on their own. And put somebody else in there, rotate people in there. I'm not saying 30 days in, 30 days out, you know, I'm saying let people get established, get their business formed up, and go about the business as they see fit, then bring somebody else in it. The other thing I'd like to see with this, any tax revenue that comes in, is to open up the south end of the town some more. Right now, everything is focused on the north end so much. You get a healthy business atmosphere at both ends of the town. The middle of the town is going to prosper too. One thing that's so beautiful about Tomah, there's one street to get through town, Main Street. It's not like some other cities where you have to go down, turn the corner, go here and there. It's a straight shot. So getting active businesses on both ends will benefit the downtown also.
Okay. D, you have the honors? We'll go down to Remy and come back this way. What are your views on creating a historic preservation commission or committee for preservation purposes and safeguarding our historical buildings? Wisconsin statutes require a city with one historical building on the National Historical Register. It says to create a committee so the city can apply for grants to restore old buildings in Tomah. And if I didn't read that properly, whoever ruled it, yeah, was that close?
Pretty close.
Yeah?
Well, I think our history speaks for itself. Tomah is a very historic, it's beautiful downtown, and we need to have a preservation. We need to preserve what we have, and I think that all works with our tax incentives and everything. We're trying to preserve these buildings downtown, and that's where our history is. I mean, you can drive by and see the Pabst building or the meat market, or, you know, I mean, those signs are still in our old buildings, and we need to protect that. We can't just have them gone, and I think it's very important to go through the channels and get a committee that would work with the state and federal government as to how to do that.
Well, we have a great director at our historical museum already, so I'm sure finding committee members would not be a hard thing. I happen to be a little bit of a history, I don't want to say buff, but a history enthusiast. I think you're remiss if you don't look at your history, and if your kids can't grow up looking at your history or have a place to go for your history, not just a historical museum, but I really enjoy our downtown. I found out that we had an opera house once downtown. Things of that nature that we can make aware. I think we'd have no problem getting a committee together, and I would be all for it.
I think the idea is a great idea. The one thing I would stress on it is oftentimes there's committees and people get appointed to committees that look good on their resume and then they don't do much. You form a commission, it has to be an active commission, dedicated to the mission of it, and so I think it's a great idea and I'd fully support it.
Well, born and raised in Chicago, you can get history and historical. I was born around it. So another thing, I have a home that was built in 1902, and I am the second owners of that home. If you're not talking about history, there you go, right there. We bought it from the original owners, and I think that history brings a lot. It tells a lot of our community, and I will fully support that, getting a committee together. The library is the only one on the historical register. However, who's to say outside the downtown district? We have a lot of old residents here that are pretty old, and I would make sure, I would love to see that happen.
Thank you. Well, we've asked 12 questions. We have 4 candidates. You each have had one chance to answer first. We've got one question left, unless there's another one floating in the audience somewhere. I'm not sure if this is really Tomah-based as much as it is the school district. And we'll start with you, Remy. What are your feelings on keeping teachers in our community when other school districts are paying more?
As an they discussed that last night's school board meeting also. Again, I think it goes back to down enrollment and stipend growth. If you have kids need to come into your door, you're gonna need teachers. You're gonna need more teachers. If you have kids moving because of lack of facilities, lack of jobs, whatever reason that their family moves out, you're obviously gonna have down enrollment, which is gonna lead to a referendum. What I feel we would need, and like Dee spoke on earlier, I think our sports, our arts, our FFA, our historical society, all the things that we have in this area, I think would go immensely great, or would go just great with everything that we have in plan for this. And as far as the importance of that, can't stress it enough.
That's a question that has no good answer. Yeah, we need to pay our teachers to keep them on the job. I fully understand that. It becomes a tax question. One thing that impacts this whole situation is attendance at the schools, because the money that they get is based on the census and on different periods. So if kids that are homeschooled, the schools lose money on that. Now, I'm not. Please don't anybody think I'm against homeschooling, because I certainly am not. But in some way, you can't be having people chipping away at the amount of money that we receive, because we have good teachers. We need to keep them. I don't know how we can get around that issue. We just got to keep plugging on and doing the best we can as we work at it.
Well, the last couple of months, I've seen a lot of promotion in the paper about our school district and what they're doing to promote the schools. So I would like to see that continue, because when you promote our schools, people look and say, hey, that's a school that I feel my child would fit well in. So I would like to see promotion in the paper, on the TV. My daughter is a teacher, and she's a teacher in Madison. And hopefully someday she will come and teach in our school. So I would look at keep promoting our school district and what we can give to our children, and hopefully they will come together and keep their children in public school.
I think it's very important to pay our teachers and keep people here raising their children. And with our continued growth, we will have people come into town, want to raise their children, educate their children in the schools that we have. My 2 children graduated from Tomah High School. They were in the arts. My son played football, but my son now produces his own comedy show in lacrosse with the foundation of teachers that he had here in Tomah. And my daughter is a social worker in Winona, but they had a good foundation through our school district. She went kindergarten through high school, and he just went through high school here, but I think it's very important to pay our teachers so that we get the best of the best for our children.
Thank you. And that's it for the questions. The election day is 2 weeks from today, but I think Tina's got a few things she wants to say.
Sure. First of all, just wanted to thank everyone for coming. Members of Rotary, your lunch has already been paid for. If you haven't, if you're not a member of Rotary and haven't paid for lunch, just let us know on your way out the door, and we'll set up an arrangement for that. I wanted to thank all of our panelists for being here today and certainly for their contribution and desire. As well as Tomah Rotary.